Hi. Good evening.
Good evening.
Gentlemen, lady. My name is Vic Rohe. I'm retired, but in my prior life, yes, I did sign a card, thank you. I signed the card. In my prior life, I owned the Century 21 franchise at one point, and also I was a stockbroker with the investment firm of Smith Barney, among other things. The reason I'm here tonight is because I went to a staff presentation on 2050, and quite frankly, I found it alarming. It was obvious to me that there was some serious financial implications for all the taxpayers in this county. But being that I personally did not have a background in urban planning, I took the liberty of calling my brother Willie, who is, he's the Distinguished Gossamer Professor of Urban Planning at the University of Chapel Hill. I could probably spend the rest of my other 4 minutes here just giving you his resume, but he's really one of the top people in urban planning in the United States. And I sent him some of the materials that I picked up at the meeting and a few articles, and I sent it up to him. And I said, look, Bill, tell me what's going on. What's the story here with this thing? And he came back to me and he basically said, first thing he said he found a lot of good points in the original 2050 plan. He said he liked it. He says there's a lot of positive elements in it. But when it came to the proposed changes, he said this is the regular gutting that occurs when he had a two-word term for it, and that unfortunately did not make it into my notes. I apologize for that. Maybe staff could enlighten you as to what that term is. But the term describes the situation when the developers capture county government. I wrote the term down, but I just don't have it with me. But there is a term for it, and he said this is a regular thing that happens when development becomes rapid, and during rapid development times. I'm sorry, just give me 1 second. Yeah, historically, this can have a devastating effect on real estate taxes and general taxes, and everyone else bears the burden, as we all know here this evening. It is really very simple. It's truly a massive transfer of financial liabilities from the taxpayers to the developers. We're taking their liabilities that would have been in place under the impact fees, removing those. When you go through the elements of this plan, and I've gone through maybe half of them. I'm not really sure. I'm sure I'm not into the minutia of what's being removed from 2050. But you can just see the trend. It's, okay, let's get rid of the environmental protections, and let's basically make it sound like we're going to follow 2050, but what we're really going to do is we're just going to build the regular track, cheapest possible method of putting the most real estate on the leased land. Back in 1980, I remember I attended a conference that I probably had no business being at. In 1980, I attended, it was called Meet the Lenders Conference by Alan Crittenden. It was all the senior vice president level of the major banks and insurance companies that were meeting with people who were building regional shopping centers and build like big buildings in Manhattan. And basically the theme was, one of the things that was kind of a joke there was they said if you'd allow them to do it, if you would fund them, builders would build skyscrapers in the desert. And I think everyone laughed, but they laughed because they knew there was truth in it. This is not a good. The only one that benefits by this gutting of 2050 is the mega developers, and there's 5 or 8 of them. So we're going to take the assets of 300,000 people in this county and give a major hunk of it to 5 or 8 people. It's not right. You know it. I know it. You're not elected, but the people who are elected, they know it. And they're hoping they can get this through before they get thrown out of office.